because we just a bunch of hard legs here. We have here the lovely Mrs. Tina S. Williams.
There she
What's up,
is.
baby?
Hey, Tina.
And
What's
we most
up?
definitely want to hear from a woman's voice because you know what? This is your sport, Tina. And you've been backstage. I wish I was backstage sometimes.
No,
You've
no,
been
you don't.
around. I heard, yeah, I heard stories that, yeah, it's kind of, yeah, yeah. I heard stories too, but hey, I'm a mother person smoke. I'm crying. Tina, I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm, but you've been around some of these ladies, like, I just sent her a link. As you know, Madonna Day made a return to women's physique. Sent the link. She gave me your critique of it, and you've been around those women. What did you see as a competitor as the sport has evolved, especially when it comes down to muscle and femininity?
So you're talking about what people think about my sport and how it is graded as masculine more than femininity.
Hmm.
Um, honestly, any woman that sheds any amount of muscle is considered masculine in today's society.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what your and here's the funny thing. I started wearing and I feel like my perspective is much different because I deal with outsiders a lot more than the normal competitor. I run a bar. Most people are around gym rats. Most people are in the gym. Most people they'll get bypassing standards, when they're going to stores or, walking down the street, but I get it a lot more than I feel like most do because of my job. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had people walk up and be like, "Oh, thank you, sir." And
I
it's
told
it's
him
like
that.
it's like one of those things where even my girls are like, "Do they not look at your face? Do they not see how feminine you look from the head up like you?" And so what I started to do, and Keith will tell you this, I started wearing because I get really hot at work. I wear tank tops. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna wear shirts that cover up my arms. Did I not do this, Keith?
Yep.
I cut them down here because my shit doesn't fit me anymore. So I was like, I'll cut them to fit me, but my arms were covered up, my biceps and my shoulders were covered up, and it was a t-shirt. And I'm like, I'm gonna do a little study for myself, and I'm gonna see how many people call me ma'am and how many people call me sir. Not one fucking person called me Mr. or Sir when I wore something that covered up my shoulders and my biceps. Not one. Not one.
True
So
story.
what that told me was because of my masculinity of having bigger muscles than the normal or average female, that is what entails masculinity for people in general. They don't look at your face, they look at your body. And if you
Bingo.
carry muscle,
Exactly.
that is exactly what they compare masculinity to is the muscle. Has nothing to do with anything else. I could have half of what I do now and people would probably still say, "Sir, thank you, sir," to me, no matter what I look like up here. And it just proved me right about the way people stereotype. Oh, I mean, in this transgender world that we have going on that's been thrown at us, I feel like that's really escalated the way people look at female bodybuilders in the public eye because people are like, oh, is that a man or is that a woman?
Exactly.
And so I can tell you one instance that I'll never, ever, ever forget. And I was wiping off a table. A black lady walked up. She sat down. I waited on her. Everything was cool. She says to me, "Man, I really, really admire your body. I know it takes a lot of work as a female," and she's going off and being very complimentary. She gets ready to leave. Everything was fine. And she walked up to me. Now, this is like right at the start of the whole transgender thing. She walks up to me and looks me dead in the face and says, "I really apologize for assuming that you're female gender specific." That is exactly what she said to me. I took a deep breath and I looked at her and I said, "If you're asking if I have a pussy, I have a pussy and I've given birth to kids." And she looked at me and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry if I offended you." I said, "If I didn't correct you in the beginning, why did you come back to try to throw that at me? Like there was no reason." So her husband was pissed. He barks out the door, and it was about 45 minutes later. I called Keith on the phone. I was hot. I'm like, you know what? I should have looked at her and been like, I'm sorry. Do you go by African American descent? You're black.
Oh, wow.
I mean, come on. Like, are we really gonna fucking go there? And that's what Keith told me I should have said.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Keith's like, you can't fix stupid. It is what it is. We know what we're dealing with. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but I was still pissed. She comes back in 45 minutes later. She throws money on the counter. Okay, now you're gonna fucking pay me for offending me. And I said, I don't want your money. I said, but just know next time, you probably, if you're not corrected about calling me a ma'am, I'm probably a female. And if I'm not offended or if I was offended by it, I would have corrected you then. But why are you waiting an hour to come back up to me after our conversation to say you're sorry if I'm really not a woman? Like, that made no sense to me. So I go back, she ends up leaving, and I pick up the wad of money. She left me $200. $200, because I will guarantee you her husband was so pissed about what she had said to me. He was embarrassed, and you could tell he was just like, oh my God. And he just walked out. But in that kind of era that I work in, people immediately see my muscles, and it is immediately masculinity. There is no, it doesn't matter if I'm wearing a tutu, it doesn't matter if I'm wearing a fucking bikini. People immediately put masculinity with muscle, and it'll never change. It will never change. And I know this. And I know that it may not be something that people are used to seeing, but I feel like in today's society, if you don't want to be looked at as masculine, if you don't want people to look at you in certain guards, as far as, the femininity versus masculinity, then stay covered up. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you go, what you do, you're always going to be regarded as being masculine with muscle. It's just the way the world is. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And the only thing that pisses me off is when people call me sir. My name is Tina. So even if I was transgender, I'm going by a girl, right? I mean, are we that stupid? So
Like I said, with this, people are ignorant and blind. They're gonna trans anything. It's something that's not new. It's just that people want to be try to be more acceptable because
well, yeah, it's just being
yeah.
thrown at us a lot more.
Well, I won't say throwing it, but it's
Right.
up to you how you take it and how you seize it. If you don't like it,
Yeah.
hey, don't care. But people need to also understand that how some people may feel comfortable about some things. How choose your words wisely. Often is the word said. Be careful how you treat somebody because you never know that person might be there to save your life or whatever. Treat a stranger as a friend if you can. But it's hard, especially for you, Tina. And like I said, I'm a fan of you. I respect you. I think you're a lovely lady. Your husband's not here right now. I think something's going on. So, and it's good that you stand up for yourself, and and respect yourself as a woman, as an athlete. No more people need to do that. Respect y'all women. Y'all are athletes also. No one says nothing about if you look at someone like Simone Biles, they don't talk about it as much. But I think one also other women might get also stereotyped, especially for the masculine thing is women in WNBA because you don't see women that tall. But hey,
Well,
it's a sport
and
where you
that's
have to be
why
that
they
tall.
wear, people say it all the time at the bar. Why do they wear eyelashes? Why do they wear long nails? I said, quote, because you motherfuckers want to stereotype them as being manly, so they're trying to bring femininity out, so you leave them the hell alone. I mean, that is what it is. They do it for no other reason. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not changing anything about me to make you feel a certain way about what I do. I did wear the shirts, though, however, to prove to myself that it wasn't about what I look like, it was about the muscle that I carry. And it was absolutely, there was not one day that I haven't gone that somebody hasn't called me sir or thank you, sir, or Mr. Until I stopped wearing the sleeveless shirts.
Here's a prime example, guys. You want to hear some? Here's a excuse my language when I say a fucked up story. This is how our
Hmm.
society, and this is when I say society. So me and my wife have been married for 11 years now. So I tell my wife I want to go. I said, man, I would love to go see Jelly Roll sometime in concert. So my wife for my anniversary got us tickets to see Jelly Roll. We go to the show, we go to dinner, we go to the show. We're sitting there. Now there's four people standing in front of us in the first row. And there we can't see. So I sit there and I say, and this is how society is. I sit there and say, I'm like, well, am I have to look through you guys the whole entire show? And the lady looks back at us and is like, well, I pay good money for these seats. So I'm like, okay, before I throw these people over the balcony, I'm gonna go talk to the ushers and find out the rules. I haven't been to a concert in 20 years. So we go to this. I go up to the usher and I say, hey, can you explain to me the rules? The guy's like, well, if they're impeding us plus a whole bunch of other people, I said, because it's not fair for me at 280 pounds, 5'11 to stand, because nobody ain't gonna see shit if I stand up behind me. So I come back down, sit in my seats, waiting for. He's like, I'm gonna go get my supervisor to handle this problem. So the lady looks back at me and I'm like, look, you don't, you're barking up the wrong tree. You don't want to say shit to me. Her husband starts talking. So the son starts, their kids start talking. They get up and leave, and as they're walking away, you know what he says to Tina? Oh, I guess you're having a roid rage. And looks at me and says, why don't you take another shot? But that's how society is, though. So because of, and she had just a tank top on and jeans or well, pants, but they look at her and that's the first thing he says. Oh, I guess we're just having a roid rage. So when I say that's the way society looks at these women, that's what I'm saying. That's what they're looking at. And my comeback was take your ass back to the trailer park because they look like trailer park trash. Seriously. I mean, but again, that's what we get. Oh, you're having you're clearly you're having a roid rage and telling me I need to take another shot because we're fucking in shape. But that's society. That's what we deal with on occasionally the regular basis. Am I right? Am I right, Tina?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. I mean, I get people all the time. Like I had a guy come up to me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, can I ask you, are you natty?" And I looked at him and I said, "I don't know. Are you gay?" Like, why is it your business? Why are you asking me stupid ass uncomfortable questions when for one, I don't know you. And two, I could care less to have this conversation with you because you're already under assumption that you think you know what the fuck I do to look the way that I look. And as he walked away, I said, it's called discipline. That's what I'm on. And he just kind of,
And she'll tell you, I went to show with Bruce. Walking into Walmart, guy goes, hey bro, what cycle are you using? I'm like, you don't even know me. What I want to do is punch
yeah,
you in the fucking face. You know,
yeah, I
walking down the
don't,
street of Mass Street in Lawrence, Kansas. Somebody goes up to Bruce, hey bro, what you using? What you on? I'm like, but that's society. When you're in shape, male or female, their presumption was to just automatically, like Jeremy have said on numerous occasions, our sport and what we look like is attached to drugs no matter what.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's when what you were saying, I agree 100%. I was saying the same thing before you got here. Great examples of what you said, that it doesn't matter what the face is, it comes down to the muscularity, and that's what's ascribed, is whether it's masculine or feminine. Two
Absolutely.
women, Mabi Giova and Sharon Bruneau. If you go look up those women, both of them female bodybuilders, supermodel level of facial beauty, absolutely stunningly beautiful women. Both of them treated exactly the same way as you, Tina. And it's all said, oh, well, look at that as a man. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, remember
These two,
Tina,
these
Alicia
two,
Young. Alicia Young at
right?
Omaha one year, they told her she had, what did they tell her, Tina? She was too muscular. And Alicia's
Yeah.
a pretty girl too. And
Yeah.
she
Mhm.
clearly should have won that show, but they said she had too much muscle. And I was like, I don't know if that's when they were transitioning to what Ray was saying, that they were trying to change that look. But clearly somebody in the Wings of Strength era has, when they first brought this back, and Tina can attest to this, as that they were trying to go more feminine than muscular. Am I right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So that because somebody had to get in Jake's ear, and I ain't gonna say the name, who really doesn't really support women's bodybuilding anyway, and he's one of the people who run the Olympia and does a lot of stuff with him. Let's just say that really doesn't care for women's bodybuilding because he doesn't find it attractive.
Mhm. Well, forget him because, like I said, I'm a fan of you ladies. Y'all deserve the opportunity just as much. You pretty much Jake fought before y'all come back to Olympia. Jake should keep you. I hope that maybe somebody who do take over Ring of Strength, because you can't live forever, can just keep that, can fight for women's bodybuilder because he deserved that fight. And here we got a comment from our man. Shout out to man Rocky Hamilton. He says this. He says, Uh, have anyone seen any of these women on social media bugging out and how loud they are and act like men without muscles? And yet, female bodybuilders are worried about what people say in 2024. Well, that's the thing is, society's gonna lose her. They say like she's being ballsy or being brandish or whatever, or she's being too masculine in her femininity. I mean, you ladies choose this as a sport and passion. Forget what people say, Mrs. Williams. Look at the ladies at social media and how they behave, and they don't have muscles. You are a cool lady. Yeah, that's from Raheem. He likes
Thank
you,
you.
Tina. Yeah, and the thing is, it's up to you as a person. Like when I like one thing is when I finally got to meet some women bodybuilders, I was hoping to have one lady on here who I met a while back, but she couldn't make it. It was just for me as a fan, it was just a great opportunity and to see different aspects of our women. Like even like I said, Keith, I met Lena Popa, and up front, she's a beautiful woman. I saw Linda while I was at the Savannah Pro that year, and she's she turned around and smiled. She's a beautiful smile. And meet someone like Andrew Vecchio, who's also mentioned in sport. Don Salib, and also a name where I do not speak. I thought she was very attractive, great physique, but her attitude is like shit. People need to understand that this is a sport that these women chose to get into. It's so easy because with men, I think like you, Keith, with you, you get some biases, but they are some things that they may not allow you so far because they look at you guys with big muscles and you're already on steroids like that, yeah, yeah. But you don't get as much criticism compared to the women. And
That's
also one
Well,
true.
thing, yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what I hate the most is women bodybuilders get more criticized by people within our industry from other categories than anybody.
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many, excuse my French, bitches walk around my gym and want to look at me crazy on a daily basis when I've been on the world championship stage 4 years. And I also, if it would have been, I would have qualified for the Olympia my first year, only missed it by 1 point the second year. And I don't walk around like an arrogant asshole at the gym. I do my fucking workout and I keep it kicking, but I get so much hate by my physicality without even speaking to anybody for people who are never going to turn pro, who are never going to reach the goals that I do. And if anything, I told Keith, if that's the attitude to have, that's the way I should be walking around with all the things that I've accomplished in my entire career. But I don't, because that's not who I am. So it's very frustrating also within the inside level of all the shit that we get from the bikini girls and even some the fitness girls. They all walk around backstage looking at us like we're crazy,
Well, even
always making their
remember
little
Tina.
comments.
Tell them about the first show you did at Miss International. The women's physique woman who came up to you.
Oh, yeah. So one of the pros, actually, she won that year, I believe. I could be wrong, but she had been to the Olympia before. And I'm getting ready. She's like, "Wow, you look really good. Are you a pro physique girl?" And I go, "No." I said, "I'm trying to get my pro card in women's bodybuilding." And she literally looked at me without even thinking twice and goes, "Why would you waste your time on that? You guys aren't even really anything in this sport because you don't even have an Olympia anymore."
Jeez.
The
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
holy
Straight said that to
Christ.
me. And she was a pro
Yep.
physique girl. And I
Yep.
said, "Well," I said, "You know what?" I said, "This is where I fit in. So whether or not we are on the Olympia stage, I support it. I want to be a part of it. And that's what I've chose to do. And at the end of the day, I'm happy." So she's like, "Wow, that just seems like a waste of time to me." And I said, "Well, I guess it would be to you, but to me, it's not." And I walked off. And I'm like, "Keith, what the hell is wrong with this
That
guy?"
was the first year she won Mr. International.
And that was the year I turned pro. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think people realize also it's not just the everyday person walking around. And I'm sure women's physique girls get a lot of it too because they are a lot like us. But it's one of those things where I don't think people realize within the industry how hated or looked at we are, even by our own peers, really. Because if you're an IFBB pro, whether you're bikini, you're a man or a woman, you're my peer, we're in this together. But that's not how they look at us. and
Right.
and it's frustrating.
Yeah, it can be frustrating because you work hard, you want to be respected, especially in the sport, And you see, like other women that you got to think about it. If you look at the girls now in figure, they are like I'm gonna pull this like this. This is from because I follow Female Body Channel, and they always post stuff. They were at a couple of shows over the weekend, and they also were at I think it was they were at the Romanian Muscle Fest, and also they were also at the Portugal in Prague because the Prague show that was the one where Chris Bumstead made his debut in men's bodybuilding. And some of those girls, if you look at them now, are not that far, especially from physique, women's bodybuilding. It's just particularly because I'll pull this one lady up, and she's a young lady, and she just turned pro a while back. We'll pull up her image here, and I forgot her name, Stefana something another. That's her, and this is figure. This is figure. And you telling me someone in the figure division is making comments about how women's body like that, but she's not that far from either physique or even women's bodybuilding. It's just that supposed to be more soft feminine look, but these girls are getting hard and just as shredded as the women in physique and women's bodybuilding.
Yeah, if they did not have figure and women's physique, but instead they had weight classes, that would be lightweight.
Yeah.
That'd be lightweight bodybuilding right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
Yeah.
it's
and Tina can attest to this. The frustration, and like just Jeremy says, and said the same thing. Like Tina's 5'8", and most of the girls she competed against are like 5, 5'5" or
I'm
shorter.
actually closer when I got my height done the other day, and I was curious because I know I'm over 5'8",
You're
but I'm
5'8".
almost 5'9".
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm going up against 5'5", 5'4", 5'2", 4'9". Michaela and I standing next to each other at Worlds. That was a joke. I'm like, so, and Irene and I both had this conversation when we were at World Championships, and I said, wouldn't it be great if you and I, or if we in general had weight classes? I mean, at least 2 divisions. It's like they have it for men, so why don't they do the same for women? And it might be more of a draw for people if we did. Girls that were taller might actually come into our class because they don't feel like that's what kept me away for so long. It took Melody for Coach Mel to tell me, dude, you're a bodybuilder. It took for a pro herself to tell me and convince me because when I look at these girls, I'm so much taller than they are. I mean, I was 177 on stage, and I think the girl closest to me was 150, 155 maybe. I was
Yep.
25 pounds heavier than everybody.
Yep.
But I don't look it because I'm 5 inches, 4 inches taller. So it's hard. I mean, it is, but you have to bring a level of conditioning and especially, size at my height to be able to even compete with these girls. I can't come in
yeah.
off. If I were shorter, it would be easier for me to come off and look okay. But as a taller person, you cannot come off or be off and even be competitive. That's just facts.
Yeah, and then it's harder for you to fill out with full muscle bellies when you're old, when you're taller too than it
Yes. And
is.
I
They have
got
that
really,
they have that advantage because of the fact that they're not that tall, that they can go ahead and they can fill out their muscle bellies easier. But it's hard.
absolutely.
It's hard. Zoa Lindsay is another example. She's almost 6 foot because I'm like 5'9", pushing 5'10". I had to look up to get eye to eye with her when I was at when I met her at Arnold's one year, and it's like same thing. It's like she's worked so hard because I mean she's about the same level of muscularity as you, and it's like, but it's just she said she's had to work that much harder because of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
That's
hard.
Yeah. Here we got my man KL the Wanderer just coming through. Shout out to
Hey,
KL.
Hey,
what's
there he
going
is.
Welcome,
on,
brother.
everybody?
Welcome,
How y'all
man.
What up?
doing?
Also, we have here some comments again from my man Raheem Hamilton. Raheem, you got time? You want to jump in? He says, as long as your friends and families give you respect, f the world. That's all. You can't please everyone. That's true. Also, shout out to he says also 11 years That's what's up. Congratulations. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Also, this is from a man, Lawrence. Lawrence says, "You don't need to change nothing about you a beautiful, powerful woman, and Keith is blessed with you in his life. You feel the same. You both keep that family tree going for a whole eternity." Also, this is from Raheem. He says, let's be real. Society would say a lot of negative things to sports players. They think they can hit, I think, yeah, he wants to think they hit a ball better or throw a football better or know how to play hockey. So don't worry, bodybuilders. Thank you, brother. And also, he says this. He says, uh, "Natalia has a great attitude." Facts. And which Natalia you talking about? You talking about your Natalia or the other Natalia? Because I know
Right.
who you're a fan of, Raheem. Where's the Bears?
Hey, Tina, you can tell him. Is she very nice?
She's not personable. However, she doesn't say a lot, but I will say in Tampa, I had a super, super creepy dude chasing me around. I went into the bathroom, came out of the bathroom. He was outside the bathroom. It was bad. He ended up showing back up where our booth was. And for the first time, I saw her stand up and say, "You need to stop fucking with her." And that was it. That's the only thing I
I
ever heard
heard
her
she's
say.
not a bad person. Like I think it's because
Her
where
English,
she's
maybe.
from.
No, she's
It's
not a
like
bad person at
it's
all. She just does not
like
speak.
yeah, the way
Uh,
how people kind of perceive her. I don't know. Like she's kind of like antisocial a bit. Then
She has a
her
24-hour resting
background.
bitch face.
She's
yeah.
Russian, and because they it's a communist rule, and certain things they it's different from our culture. That's the easy way I could put it, because
No,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
these communist places
Well,
they're really like antisocial, or they don't really like show that they're not they're not really friendly. That's the easy way I could put it. you know
they say the same thing about us because we're capitalists.
they're
Everybody's gonna be
introverted.
different. Yeah, everybody's different. Not everybody's gonna be as hope. Some people can be too friendly. That was the bad thing. I remember. I think you were at Atlanta that year, Tina, where it was I think the pre-debut show, and I remember I was just like I became really friendly with Tamara McCarr. How she was this one dude, and the guy wanted to touch her abs. He did the same thing to I think who was it? Uh, Blonde, big smile. I don't think she's competing anymore. Her name is back in my head, and I remember she sent me that was the video. I say, George, this guy's weird. I mean, he's just, I said, what's wrong? I said, this is the video he posted on his saying, it's just him. He's talking to us, and he just want to touch our abs, and it's just some people just need to know, kind of respect somebody's distance and their privacy in a way.
Well, I have people throw quarters at my ass while I have my back to them to see if it'll bounce. But that's kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You
they're
serious? You
usually
got some wild
they're usually
stories.
they're
Hey,
oh
we actually put a picture up now. The great thing now is we put a picture up in our bar of Tina, and the picture that we sent you, the front lat spread, and it says, what does it say, baby? It says wings,
it says hot wings, cold beer, and mussels.
and
Mm.
so the funny thing is that she's telling me today this 80-year-old guy is at the bar, and he's like, "Who's that girl?"
He sees me every day for the last 2 years. Sees me every day.
and tell him the story.
And so he was it's pretty big poster,
It's a big
and
poster.
he's looking down underneath his glasses and he's staring at it, and he says to my server, "Who is that?" And Samantha said, "That's Tina." He said, "Tina who?" And he said, "My boss, my general over there behind the bar." And he looks over and he goes, is that really you? I'm like, who'd you think it was? He's like, wow. And I looked at Keith and I said, these people are around me to the day that I leave for my show. Do they not realize that?
Because she
And
don't
he's
have. She
and he
have
goes,
clothes.
yeah, but you have clothes on. He's like, you don't have clothes on in that picture.
I
But
say,
yeah,
he was you got an old man excited to me. He's like, yeah, I gotta see something like that.
Hey, guess
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
You know how many pictures since we put that thing up last week have came and stood next to it and took a picture next to that picture?
yeah, they take
How many?
selfies with it now. A lot of people. We just put it up Friday too. I know my servers were like, Tina, you know how many people have come up and taken selfies with that thing? I was like, oh word. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
supposed to be a funny joke, and it's kind of turned into something different. People have asked me for T-shirts. I'm like, good lord. I'm like, well, I guess we could do T-shirts.
yeah.
Mm.
That's good. That,
There are guys who'll make custom T-shirts for you.
Yeah,
They are seriously, they will.
we have a place
There's
here in town that would do it. I'm sure.
yeah, that'd be something to do.
yeah.
Especially, put it on like have the wings, beers, and muscles. You can wear it in your next show. I mean,
That's true.
I mean that'd be something people would love to see. Oh wait a minute, my man Keith
This
got
is the
something.
shirt that she just got me, guys. You see what that says? It says,
Squat
Oh
on my
my
face.
God.
Oh,
"Squat on my face respectfully."
Respectfully, that's the
That's
best
what
part.
she said. I asked her, I'm like, where the hell am I supposed to wear that?
I did tell him. I said, you can't wear that unless I'm around you.
I because I'm really cool with Andrew Sauer. She sent me one of her Rick Vixen shirts because it has the legs spread out as Vixens. And I said, Andrew, when will I wear this? Say I can't, I could probably wear it when I go work out. Yes, I can't. Well, because you know how people are. You see this pair of legs, whipped, Cause I remember when we were in school, like you couldn't wear like shirts with beer or cigarette stuff on it. Anything that's kind of, they don't want you to see you wearing it. Um, this is from shout outs to Raheem says, I could come onto the show. Yeah, come on, brother. It's open. We have you on. Also, he says she she works out with
I didn't see
bears,
the
so
link.
that's why she is so social. I thought I seen you
Get
there.
him, Jeremy. Get him, Jeremy. Get him.
I'm waiting on the pictures. I'm waiting on the video, Raheem. That's you've said that time and time again. It's like pics or bids or it's not true.
So
Yeah,
baby
yeah,
says she's works. He's Raheem says that she works out with Russian bears.
Oh Lord,
yeah. That's the thing is, he's a fan.
that's a
I
fantasy. That's a fantasy. That's a wet dream. That's what that is.
I don't know. That's not my wet dream. I couldn't,
I'm just
yeah.
saying.
I had a question
I
to
had
throw
quite a
out.
few dreams, but not with bears.
Yeah. I had
Uh,
a oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, brother.
I just had a question to throw out to everybody. We've been talking about a masculinity versus femininity, as like Keith was saying that it's judged as a total package, face included, and such like that. What in terms of the masculine versus feminine debate? We just had the Romanian Muscle Fest with Natalia Kovaleva winning. What do people think on the panel as far as that goes? Too masculine? Too feminine? How do we
I
see it?
think, my opinion. I think Europeans are different than here in the states as far as judging is concerned, as far as the look is concerned. I love the European aspect of how they look at our sport in general. I think our sport in general in Europe is way bigger than it will ever be in the states at this point in time. So I think their vision and when they look at things is completely different than over here, in my opinion.
Are you talking about the girl that just beat Boswell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm gonna plead the fifth. I'm not saying nothing. If I'm just saying if you're asking me if that was a feminine look that they went with, absolutely not.
hmm
My
What
opinion.
about you, KL? We want to hear from you, KL.
uh, let's put it this way. I don't know if I would walk the street in New York City with her.
and,
She's
and,
probably something that can be a fetish,
and, and, and,
and
and
I'm
that's what
just keeping it real. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
and Tina, we're talking about before you came on. I told the guys, I said, we have a rule. And I said, when it gets to that point, you're done. And
Yeah, I
they
mean,
agree with me. I said, when if
Well,
you
here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is every time he says that to me, it makes me mad because I look at him and I want to punch the shit out of him and say, "Do you think I want to look like a motherfucking dude?" Like that's the question. Do you think I want to walk around like I have a dick in my pants? No, I don't. So you won't have to worry about it because I'll be like, bitch, this is too much. Like, and not only that, but for my height alone, I don't think that I could ever get to that point because I'm almost as big as I need to be in general. I just have to fill out a few more things, but I'm not looking to put no 30 pounds of fucking muscle on. I'd be bigger than you.
And it's good. And it's
but I'm
good for the
talking about
man.
the change of everything. I'm talking about the face, and that's what I'm talking about in general. That's
Well,
what
I mean, shit, if that was going to be, my fucking shit would already been changed by now.
This would be great if they still had the newlywed date. It wasn't
I
newlywed.
mean, your voice saying deep, you know.
I
Yeah,
mean, come on now.
it'd be great.
Jesus.
But this time my man used to date Heather Grace.
Oh, thank you for that. We
Oh,
won't
you
talk
used to
about
date
that.
that,
Hey,
Keith?
Yeah, she was like a
date
little
that.
baby. She like a little
Right.
baby. She like a little baby
Wow.
ape.
Can I tell you something? Don't ever talk about my face. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I told you she's like a little baby ape. I told you.
Uh,
Yeah, and
uh,
you know what? She looked like a baby ape when you fucking dated her. So what does that
Hey,
say?
it only lasted 3 weeks.
It still lasted. Just saying.
well, he found something attractive about her, and that's why it's just people always going to find something attractive about a woman. Like one of my favorite comedians was Robin Harris. He said if I marry a woman, it's going to be an ugly woman. Because you can do whatever you want to do. It says like oh bitch, I'm going to the moon. Says well be careful, come home and don't come be bitching from the kids. But it's about everybody's going to have their critique of, especially women in bodybuilding. Not everybody's going to be Andrea Shaw. Not everybody's going to be Angela Yo. Not everybody's going to be, whoever who's going to be in the sport. I mean, like I said again, it's always going to be different critiques, and we go back to also again with the judging because the judges once again set the standard if they feel that femininity is an important thing, it should be a thing that really matters, especially for your training, you're working out. It should be a factor to it. Maybe you have some women who might say, you know what, let me pull it back a little bit. Let me, maybe a little more makeup, a little bit more rouge, things that make me feel like I'm just a woman. We have here a guest. I just heard just popping in, and we have here and my man Raheem Hamilton. Yo, Raheem.
But here's the
What's
thing,
good?
Jordan.
What's up?
Here's the thing.
What's up?
Talking about that, the part of this industry when it comes to women is age. You know what I'm saying? It's age, and when they use gear, they are aging faster. Not as well as everything's changing, but they're aging faster. Like a lot of these girls that have been competing in the sport for a long time, I'm like, man, they're still competing. Helena is probably one of the one girls I can look at for her age and how long she's been doing this and be like, wow, she's aged well through the sport. You know what I'm saying?
But you
But some
also
of the
have to
people
realize that there are a lot of girls who do this shit all
year round.
fucking year round. And I'm telling you, the ones that are more masculine looking, the ones that have those features, those are the girls that are using it year round. They are not stopping. They may be using less, but it's their less is what somebody's regular would be. And I know this from what I've heard a lot from their own mouth. They just use constantly. They don't stop. They do not stop. And I will say for myself, I'm the opposite. I'll go 6 months, nothing. I'm all natty, all natty, all natty. And then when I have to start revving it up, we rev it up for 3 or 4 months, then we kick it back down. I'm not doing a damn thing right now. I haven't since my show. It's been 2.5, 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's just, but I've chose to do it that way because for one, naturally I am gifted with muscle. I've always been an athlete. So that's not something that I need to do. Two, I want to keep my femininity. And three, I don't want to be as big as a man on stage because Cliff Bomar, I don't know if you guys know who he was. He passed away. God bless him. He's one of the reasons other than Ernie that I am even in this industry.
He was a
But
judge.
yes, and he looked at me dead in the face and he said, Tina, he said, because he used to train Iris as well. He said, your natural genetic setup, he said, if I trained you the way I trained her, you would be twice her size. He dead face said that to me. Because as naturally as a woman, I carry, and Keith will tell you, I'm just a big ass girl. So you add all the other shit into it, and I fucking respond fast. I have chosen not to, and I didn't even start down this road until what, 5 years ago, 6 years
Yep,
ago.
5 years
I
ago.
hadn't used one drug in my life for the first 9 years I was in this sport because I didn't trust anybody. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I wasn't just trying to jump in head first and have somebody fuck my body up because I'm smarter than that. So I feel like I'm able with Mel, because she knows what she's doing, I'm able to peak and do certain things at a 46-year-old age and look the way that I do because I've made good decisions in my career going up the road, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of these girls don't. They're so aggressive about it. They don't want to quit. They don't want to quit. They don't want to quit. And they never give their body a break. And then you end up having this conversation.
Yeah, I think one person I will say again is a good example of that is Natalia Cuejo. And I know, and with her, she's young. She's young, just in her, not even 30 yet. Hunter Henderson, that's another example. She's young, And I think somebody just mentioned today is her birthday, and I think she might be turning 30 this year. Um, I think when you're young, you don't think about what's ahead of you in
No.
your future. You think
But
about,
remember, guess who her trainer was? Matt Jensen.
ooh, oh, that's the subject. But yeah, I think a lot of people we talked about the thing with him a while back,
Yep.
about coaches. But yeah, it's about where you want to go. Sometimes you got to take a step back and say, you know what, is this important for me to take the risk and maybe like, especially if I think about it, like I remember hearing like a while back the reason why Linda retired because she wanted to have kids that first time after she lost those back to back to Kim Zavetsky. And then there was I figured a story somewhere. I'm not sure if it's I remember saw somewhere that she had a couple of miscarriages, didn't happen, and then and also I think she was trying out. She did. I even seen a picture of her where she was trying out for WWE. She was trying to get to wrestling too, but then whatever didn't work out, so she decided to come back to bodybuilding. And that was back in 2020 in 2002, and she won her time through the three. She keep one more. Her last time was 2004, and then Kim Zavetsky, she took a step away from it, and then she had her kids. So many other women like yourself, Tina, who got in the sport, who had children, or somebody like good example also Alicia Young, who has a child, but she's still passionate. I follow Alicia, and there's been even she one time I posted a video where she had an accident, something like that, and she said she's going to make a return. I hope she does because what she has a great look to her. People like it. Like if I ever like I post anything with Tina Young on my own channel, guys, they just love it because her and one person we also that y'all know is Isabel Terrell. And every time she like when she posts something, she always like there's this video of her. If you ever saw it, she's working out doing I think deadlifts, and she's pretty much her boobs are pretty much about out, and each time she pick up, it's just like bounce, bounce, bounce. It's just that thing is that women want to present themselves that femininity factor, not forgetting they're athletes too, but still want to hold that bit that makes them feel like I'm still a woman.
A question for Keith in regards to what you had said earlier. This is, I guess, this is me playing devil's advocate for a minute on the question of aging when it comes to taking gear. Recently, you had bodybuilding icon Tom Platz over on the Go Figure podcast, and he's saying that he knows bikini girls who are taking more gear than he took in his heyday.
Yep.
And I mean, you take a look at Tom back then, it's like, but then it's like, if that's true, that results in aging, why then do you not see that with bikini girls?
Because again, I train bikini girls and I train other people. But here's the thing. they can use, and and I don't know if Tom Platts have all his facts right. They'll use like Anavar. They'll use things to put on a little bit of muscle.
And
I
get
don't
hard.
know. I don't know about very many people, very many bikini girls that use testosterone and things like that. And it's just to fill out, hold their thighs and put on more muscle. So when it comes to comparing a bikini girl to a wellness girl to a bodybuilder girl or to a I think it's like if I was a trainer and my conclusion was
sense,
is
and
to put on a
you're
little bit
destroying
more
that. And the guys that take a lot of androgens, it's not.
Is something being played?
I think somebody was playing Tom. I don't know who exactly it was, but
I think it was George. I can't hear him right now.
George, you're muted. Just so you know, you're muted. George, you're muted.
I wish I could do that to
Yeah,
my
There
I
it
husband
just
goes.
sometimes.
There you go. Okay.
yeah, I just found the link. I was gonna pull it up and play it, but here we got somebody just came in also. Just now another person that's come in. Give me a second. Let me pull them up. KL just dropped out, came back in again.
Yeah. So when it comes
Which,
to that question, I would say, it's like wellness. Girls are getting butt implants. So and George sent me that when we were at the World Championships one year with Tina. And it's just they're doing all these cosmetic things. And when it comes to bikini, I think some of these girls that are small that are trying to put a little bit more shoulder size on, and trying to fill out a little bit more, they're not doing what some of the other classes are doing. Let's just say that they're doing some things, but not to nearly the extreme of some of the other classes. Not even
Hmm.
close. Because again, most of the bikini
They
girls,
would be way bigger.
way bigger. That's why they brought in wellness. And Tina can tell you when they brought in wellness, I thought wellness was being brought in for women who had like a more of a pear shape. And I remember Tyler and Steve introducing it at the Tampa Pro. And it was more like, the Latin girls, the moms who had babies, most of the people I see, most of you see most of the women in wellness are women who have babies, Latin girls. Then now you get to taking it to the extreme where they're getting these blood implants and blood injections and all this other bullshit. And it's kind of just like a weird class. But bikini is just like, it's, I always tell people it's more of an obtainable look than anything. And if a coach, I know one girl in particular that their coach has been having to use Ozempic to lose fucking weight. Yeah. I'm like, what? It's crazy. But some of these, like that's what we discussed about one of the last podcasts, good coaches versus bad coaches. To me, when
Good,
I see
but
this,
as an athlete, you got to be smart enough not to take the shit. Just
exactly. To me, I look at her, she walks around the gym, she looks skinny. She's skinny. The judges said she was very conditioned to me and Tina because I look at her and her ribs are showing she looks skinny. So, and there's some girls who I know who use certain things to add more size onto their shoulders, for strength purposes and this, that, and the other. I don't do it with any of my bikini girls, but some people do. So, and Jeremy, here's the thing. It's the generation that we live in these days. And here's the biggest thing what I try to tell people. The 90s era was the best era of competing whatsoever, ever, ever. But guess what? They didn't have half the shit that we have now. Half.
True.
And it looked
Yeah.
better. Everybody thinks more is better. When I very first sat down with Flex Wheeler, and I'm like, okay, where are we going to start? I'm trying to turn pro. Where are we going to start? And he gave me A, B, C, D, E. I was like, that's it? Yep, that's it. I'm like, wow. So it told me that the era that we live in now, Sean Ray once told me, he goes, you guys are a bunch of little spoiled faggots. And I'm like, why? He goes, you guys got meal prep companies making all your food and shit. We have to make all our food. So our era that we're in now is completely different than the era that they were in now. And the athletes actually look better, men and women for that matter.
yeah. But I'm gonna give a real warning to Keith. You gotta be careful you use that word, the
Sorry.
last word, because
Sorry.
you know how YouTube on they're gonna jump on my back. So
Soft. Excuse me. Soft.
yeah, salt. That's better to say.
Soft.
So
I
yeah, you
apologize if I
gotta
offended anybody.
yeah, you gotta be careful use that. I know it's just people need to understand what it takes to be a competitive sport. And then also those people need to take a step back and say, is it's worth what you're doing? You know, like there's a member that a question that it was a social scientist. He did a survey. He had a group of athletic, Olympic level athletes, and he asked them if you could take a one pill that could maybe shorten your life in 5 years, but you can, do better. You can jump higher. You can win more trophies and awards. The question is, will you take it? And he said more than half said yes.